is not sharing the same option.
Sir, each time we have to add this one, sir. We have to add this. Yes.
Anytime you hear the sound being from the student, and the 2-3 minutes you admit, and then after go.
Sir, in private discussion, let's say how to use
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Please respond to me.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, very good morning. So, in our yes, good morning. So, before we start the lecture, in the previous class, what we have learned? Can you tell me?
Two types of nutrition.
Yes. So, in our previous class, we have learned about.
It's about nutrition.
Yes, we have learned about.
Heterotrophic
Yes. We have learned about heterotrophic nutrition, then saprotrophic nutrition, holozoic nutrition, parasitic nutrition, and along with that, we have learned how do organisms obtain their nutrition. So, can you tell me what is heterotrophic nutrition?
It is a type of nutrition where one is dependent on others.
Yes, very good. That's the correct answer. Then, what about the organisms which prepare their own food? What are they called as?
Autotrophic.
Heterotrophic.
Yes,
Autotrophic.
autotrophs. Very good. Okay. So, in saprophytic, can you give the example?
Mushroom.
Mushrooms. Very good. Then holozoic.
Amoeba.
Okay. Then in parasitic.
Plant.
Leeches.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Okay. So let us move to the next part. So in today's class, we are going to learn about the nutrition in human beings. In the previous class, we have learned about nutrition in amoeba. I hope you got the concept clear over there. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll begin with nutrition in human beings. So to understand this, we'll perform an activity that is 6.3. In this activity, you have to take 1 ml of starch solution, which is of 1%, in 2 test tubes, that is test tube A and test tube B. Simple. You have to take 2 test tubes. In both the test tubes, you have to take 1 ml of the starch solution. Okay. So here you can see in a beaker, we are having the starch solution. So what is this starch? It is the food stored in the human body. Okay, it is the food which is stored. Actually, it is found in plants. Okay, but it is the storage of food. Then add 1 ml of saliva to test tube A and leave both test tubes undisturbed for 20 to 30 minutes. Now what you have to do, you have to take one of the test tube, that is test tube A. In that, you have to spit. Why you are spitting in that? Because your mouth contains saliva. That saliva has to be mixed with this starch solution. Then another test tube, that is test tube B, it should be left like that only. You are not supposed to add anything in that. So you have to leave both the test tubes for 20 to 30 minutes. Now you have to add few drops of iodine solution to the test tubes. Now here is the iodine solution. This solution you have to add to both the test tube. In test tube A we are having starch solution, then we are having saliva, whereas in test tube B we are having only the starch solution. So you have to add few drops of iodine solution to both the test tubes. So in which test tube do you observe a change color, that is changing color? So test tube which does not contain saliva turns blue-black in color. Now test tube B, okay, it will turns into blue or black in color. Then what does this indicate about the presence or absence of starch in the 2 test tubes? So what does this indicate? So here you can see we are having 2 test, this one beakers. So the beaker which is showing black color, that does not contain saliva.
reference class. Under 2 minutes you have, you join, otherwise not able to. You just keep on join on that, otherwise you won't be.
Okay. So you can see here that we are having two beakers. One beaker, it is blackish in color, whereas the other beaker, it is slightly white in color. So the black color beaker, it indicates that it is having the starch and the iodine solution, whereas the other beaker, okay, so this beaker, it is having the starch solution, then saliva and the iodine solution. So what does this indicate? In test tube A, iodine solution color remained the same, which indicates the absence of starch, whereas in test tube B, the solution turns into blue-black due to the presence of the starch. I'll just hide it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does this tell us about the action of saliva on starch? So saliva contains salivary amylase enzyme. So see in your mouth, below the tongue, we are having a gland called as salivary gland. That salivary gland releases saliva, and that saliva, it contains an enzyme called as salivary amylase.
Yes, sir.
Yes, students, everyone, please listen very carefully. If you are joining this meeting, you have to join sharp at whatever time is given. 5 minutes after that, nobody will be permitted. Am I clear?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. And don't call me that the teacher is not letting me in.
Yes, sir.
Nobody will let you inside the class. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you can see that our tongue, below the tongue, we are having a gland called as salivary gland. That salivary gland, it releases saliva, and that saliva, it contains the enzyme that is called as salivary amylase. So what does this salivary amylase do? It degrades the starch, means it breaks the starch into simple sugar, and iodine does not act on the simple sugar. Okay, so hence solution treated with saliva is not turned blue. So your mouth, it contains the saliva. That saliva, it does not treat with the iodine solution. So because of that, it does not turn the change the color. Okay. So this is a simple activity. Now let us begin with nutrition in human beings. So in your previous classes, that is in 6th or 7th, you might have learned about this simple digestive system. So what do we know about it? That is, we are having mouth. So we eat the food. It will pass through esophagus, that is food pipe. It will go to stomach. From stomach to it will go to small intestine. From small intestine to large intestine. Then it is removed from the body through anus. This is a simple thing which we have learned in our previous classes. So let us see in the detailed form. So the alimentary canal, which is also called as digestive system. Okay, don't get confused with this word alimentary canal. Alimentary canal means digestive system. So the alimentary canal is basically a long tube extending from the mouth to anus. We can see that the tube has different parts. Various regions are specified to perform different functions. What happens to the food once it enters our body? We shall discuss this process here. So now, alimentary canal or digestive system, it starts from the mouth and ends to anus. So it is a tubular structure and it is having so many organs within the body. Okay. So what happens to the food once we eat it? Okay, so that we are going to learn in this process. So just have a look over here in the digestive system. We are having a tongue which is present in the mouth. In the mouth we are having teeth, okay, and we are having salivary gland. Then that food is passing through esophagus. which is also called as food pipe. Then it is going to stomach. Okay, in stomach again we are having so many glands, so many juices, so many enzymes which are performing their functions in the digestion of food. So this stomach, it is attached with two important glands, that is liver and gallbladder, which are helpful, liver and pancreas. So liver and pancreas, they help in the digestion of food. Then the food passes to small intestine, then from small intestine to large intestine, then it moves out of the body through anus. So let us begin. So nutrition in human beings, that is digestive system. So here you can see the graphical representation, that is in short way. Okay, so you can use this for the reference purpose. So the food, it goes to mouth, mouth to in mouth is having buccal cavity and pharynx, or else you can write mouth to esophagus. Then it goes to stomach. Okay, then it goes to small intestine, large intestine, and moves out of the body. So over here, duodenum.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, yes,
So the slide is not visible.
it's not visible.
It's showing recapitulation slide. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
just let me check. Okay. Okay, I think here's some problem is there. I will just forward this slide in the group. Okay, that is your school blog. So you can just go through that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is a simple graphical representation. I'll just forward it. You go through that. Okay, next, mouth. So the food is taken by mouth and the following activities carried. So here you can see that the food which we take, okay. So what are functions it carried? Let us see. First thing is grinding or chewing of the food by teeth. So you know that when we have the food, teeth helps in the chewing of the food. Then we are having saliva. So what does saliva do? It moist the food. Okay, the food which is dry, it gets moistened because of the saliva. Then we are having tongue. What is the function of tongue? It helps in the rolling of food. Okay, rolling of food means the food is rolled in your mouth from one place to another place. Okay, or one side to another side of the mouth. Then next, saliva. Saliva is secreted by salivary gland located under the tongue, which contains digestive enzymes like salivary amylase, which breaks down sugar, starch into sugar. So already we had discussed that saliva, which is present, which is secreted by salivary glands. So this saliva, it contains salivary amylase, which is an enzyme which helps in the breaking down of starch into sugar. Then the food from mouth then goes to esophagus. Now the food which is present in your mouth, it will go to esophagus. Esophagus is also called as food pipe. So which is the food pipe to the stomach through the movement of walls of esophagus. Now here's a 1 mark question. Usually they ask that what do you mean by peristaltic movement, or how the food is transported or passes in the esophagus. So the food passes in the esophagus by peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement means wave-like motion. You might have seen the snake, how it crawls on the ground. In similarly, the food is, yes, zigzag manner. So that is wave-like. Actually, it's not zigzag also. It is wave-like motion. So the food moves inside the stomach by the wave-like motion. Then next, stomach. Digestive functions are taken care of by the gastric glands present in the walls of the stomach. Now, on the walls of the stomach, okay, there are so many gastric glands are there, okay, and along with that, there are so many other secretions are carried out. What is that? Let us see. So inner lining of stomach secretes. So first thing is pepsin. Okay, pepsin. So what is the function of pepsin? It is an enzyme. Yes, pepsin. It is an enzyme which digests the protein. Then mucus. Mucus. It protects the inner lining of the stomach from being corroded by the acid. Okay, now we know that in our stomach we are having the hydrochloric acid. So that hydrochloric acid, it can damage our stomach, it can create some problem in our stomach. So to avoid that, we are having the mucus. So mucus, it protects the inner lining of the stomach. Then hydrochloric acid, it creates the acidic medium. Now you might have seen that some of the people, they have the problem. They usually complain that they are having the acidity problem. So what is the reason behind that? It is because of the more production of hydrochloric acid. If hydrochloric acid is secreted more in the stomach, it will create the acidic medium. Okay, that is acidity. And at that time, we are using the remedies. Some people use the home remedy, such as in the lemonade, they add the baking soda, or else they will have some kind of tablets, or they will have milk of magnesia, that is magnesium hydroxide, to overcome this problem. Then,
Basic.
yes, basic things. Then, digestive juice. So, what is this digestive juice? It breaks down the protein into simpler substances. Okay. So, here in the stomach, on the this one gastric gland is present on the walls of the stomach. Gastric gland, it is present on the walls of the stomach, and this secretes four important things, that is pepsin, mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices. Okay. So I had it up. Yes. The next thing is small intestine. The food from stomach eventually moves into the small intestine. It is the longest part, about 7.5 meter long, of alimentary canal. It is a site where complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats takes place. It gets intestinal juices from two different glands, that is liver and pancreas, that help in the further digestion of food. Now see, the word small intestine, okay, it might be small intestine, but it is the largest organ in the digestive system. Okay, it is the largest organ, which is about 7.5 meters long. So in the digestive system or alimentary canal, okay, we are having the small intestine. So small intestine, it is attached to duodenum, okay, duodenum or jejunum. So after stomach, it is directly connected to small intestine. So the digested food, it goes to small intestine. Now in the small intestine, there are three important components get digested. Those are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay. Uh, don't make noise in between. So carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, they get digested in the small intestine. And there are two important organs are there which helps in the digestion of food. That is liver and pancreas. So liver, it is the largest gland of the body and secretes bile juice. See, there is the difference between largest gland and the longest gland. If they ask you which is the longest gland in the digestive system, the longest gland is small intestine and the largest gland is liver. So don't get confused with these two organs. Okay. So liver, okay, just stop that. Liver is the largest gland of the body which secretes the bile juice. So bile juice is stored in the gallbladder and has a significant role in the digestion of fats. So liver, what does it do? It secretes bile juice. So bile juice, what does it do? It digests the fat. Okay, simple thing. Liver, it secretes bile juice and bile juice digests the fats. Okay, so this is a simple thing which you have to learn. Next, the pancreas. The pancreas secretes pancreatic juice which contains the enzyme like trypsin for digestion of proteins and lipase for the breaking down of emulsified fats. Now pancreas. Pancreas, it releases pancreatic juice. Okay. Now this pancreatic juice, it is having two enzymes. Which are those two enzymes? First one is trypsin, second one is lipase. So what is the function of trypsin? Trypsin, it digests the protein, whereas lipase, it digests the emulsified fats. Okay. So here it is a function of liver and pancreas. Next, the walls of small intestine contains a gland which secretes intestinal juice. Now, on the walls of the small intestine, there are some glands which releases what? Intestinal juice. Same as stomach. Stomach releases digestive juice. Here, small intestine, it releases intestinal juice. Now, the enzymes present in it, that is in the small intestine, they are finally converted into what to what? Let us see. So, protein is converted into amino acids, complex carbohydrates, it is converted into glucose, then fats is converted into fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, now the next part. The digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. The food which is digested, it is taken up by the walls of the small intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has a numerous finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for the absorption of food. Now see here, on the walls of the small intestine, there are so many finger-like projections are there, or finger-like structures are there. So that finger-like structures are called as villi. Now what is the function of it? It increases the surface area for the absorption of food. Okay, it helps in the absorption of food by increasing the surface area. Okay, then the villi are richly supplied with blood vessels which takes the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body where it is utilized for obtaining energy. So building up new tissues and the repair of old tissues. Now, what is the other functions of villi? This villi, it is attached with or it is connected with blood vessels where it supplies the absorbed food. Now the food which is absorbed, it is supplied to each and every cell of the body. Now we are having trillions of cells or more than that. So those cell gets the digested food with the help of villi and the cell gets the energy. For what purpose it gets the energy? To build up the new tissue and to repair the old tissue. Now, in our body, there are so many tissues are there which gets damaged. So that damaged tissue is repaired by the villi, whereas new tissues are formed by the villi. How? By supplying the absorbed food. Then the undigested food or unabsorbed food, it moves to large intestine. Large intestine. The unabsorbed food is sent into the large intestine where more villi absorb water from this material. The rest of the material is removed from the body via anus. The exit of this waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter. Okay. So large intestine. So the name shows that large intestine, but it is the smaller one. Okay. Then the unabsorbed food or undigested food, it is sent to large intestine. In the large intestine, it is also having the villi. Okay, it is also having the villi. So what does it do? It absorbs the water from the undigested food. Okay, some water is present inside the undigested food that is absorbed by the large intestine, and the rest of the undigested food or the waste material, it is removed out of the body by anus. So the exit of this waste material is regulated by anal sphincter. So this anal sphincter, it is the muscle which helps in the that is elongation of the removing of materials. Okay. Here is a note. The length of the small intestine differs in various animals depending on the food they eat. So the length of the small intestine, it is different in different organisms. Okay, herbivorous. Herbivorous means the organisms which are eating the grass. They need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. Meat is easier to digest. Meat is easier to digest, hence carnivorous like tigers have a shorter small intestine. So the herbivorous, they are having the small intestine in that is longer one, whereas carnivorous, they are having the shorter small intestine. Why? Because cellulose, which is a plant product, okay, it is the part or you can say composition of plant which cannot be digested easily. So for that reason, the herbivorous, they are having the longer small intestine, whereas the meat is the one who is eating meat, okay, they are having the shorter small intestine. Okay, now what about omnivorous? Think about it. The organisms which are eating both, that is grass, that is veg also and non-veg also. So that we have to find out. Remaining thing we'll see in the next class. Okay, if you do have any doubt or any questions, you can ask me.
I have a doubt. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the length of large intestine?
It is around 2 meters. Okay, depending on the organism. Depending on the
Okay.
organism, it is different.
Okay, sir. I have a doubt.
Yes. You can just post it on the screen.
Fine.
Sorry.